What's going on, YouTube? R to the double E dash to the ZON, coming at you once again, coming at you from my crib. And I wanted to do this video, or this series of videos, because quite honestly, man, I mean, you guys know me, man. I've said it before. This happens all the time, and it happens to me. It tends to happen to me when I get a new console. Strangely enough, get a new banging console like the Switch. I'm loving it. I already have 7 games on the Switch. It's only been out 3 months. I think if I go off the top of my head, I have Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Super Bomberman R, Fast RMX, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Street Fighter, Ultra Street Fighter 2, the final challengers, NBA Playgrounds, and then World Perfect Heroes, which is a Neo Geo fighting game, as I've said before. So I have a lot to play on that system. Just got the Pro controllers I showed you guys last time, and I'm loving the online when it comes to Mario Kart, Super Bomberman R, and things of that nature. But every time I get a new console, man, I get the itch to go back and enjoy some of my retro consoles, man. And you guys know that my collection is massive. I take a lot of pride in it. I pretty much have kept everything from back in the day. And man, I had to go back and I had this itch to go back and start playing my all-time favorite console, the Nintendo 64. You guys know how I am with that console, man. And you guys also know that from time to time, as the years go by, I tend to go and redo videos, update them, if you will, make them better, usually erase the older ones and you know, stay with the new one. So that's what I intend to do here. So what you're gonna get is a 2 to 3 part series, depending how long it takes me to get through, because I have 66 games to go through. It's gonna be my Nintendo 64 collection, man, and I'll just gush about some of these games and the experiences I've been having these last couple of days. And then I'm gonna make just a separate video just talking about the almighty N64, how great that console was and still is to this day, and how it is the definitively best console in gaming history. You know, I'll debate that with anybody, as I've said before. So we're just gonna go through it right now, man. Clean the specs right quick. They got a little dust on them, and it's no particular order, man. These are all my games on the N64. My biggest and most prized collection. It is literally my most prized possession, material-wise, is my N64 and my N64 collection. So here we go. Star Fox 64, man, this is one of the greatest games of all time. You will hear me say that about a lot of these games because the N64 happens to have some of the greatest games of all time. But Star Fox is just this amazing game, on rails space shooter. As you guys know, came with the Revolutionary Rumble pack when it was first packaged back in the day, and just changed the game, man. I was actually playing. I played through the entire game. I think last night or the night before. Played through the entire game, and I just had such great memories and great fun. That's the thing about this, is it's not just nostalgia. There's nostalgia there, but it's just that the games are that timeless and that great that you can go back right now, dated graphics and all, and still enjoy the shit out of them. And I went through the entire game and all the voice acting and all that, do a barrel roll and all that. I loved it, man. Star Fox 64. WWF Warzone, one of the first wrestling games to come out on the N64 and the PlayStation 1, as a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken. Made by Acclaim Sports. Back then, Acclaim was very known for making realistic, at least graphically realistic looking sports games, and wrestling was no different. Graphically, this game was better than WCW, NWO Revenge, and No Mercy, but gameplay was nowhere near. You know, it fought a lot like a Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter type game. You had to pull off moves by doing combinations of movements with the D-pad or the joystick, and C buttons and A and B buttons. So the gameplay engine really wasn't that good, but it was some fun to go back. Some good announcing from JR and the King. So there you go. This game with no label whatsoever, black, is WrestleMania 2000. This is the first game that THQ and I believe it's Ukes, not Uke, no, AKI, THQ and AKI did in the WWE universe. Once they finished with WCW, they jumped to WWF and they made WrestleMania 2000. Amazing wrestling game. We used to have some amazing 4-player nights. Me and my boys and me and my cousins and all that, and family. We would just stay up to all hours of the night playing 4-player mayhem in that wrestling game. Greatest game of all time. I don't care what anybody says. It's not Zelda. As much as I love Zelda, it's not anything else really. It's Super Mario 64. This is the game that revolutionized the gaming industry. The same way the NES came in and saved the gaming industry from the crash, is the same way the N64 came in and reinvigorated, re-energized it, and changed the whole game up. And it began with this game. This game showed people, developers and publishers, how to make games in 3D the right way. And first time you could ever control your camera in a video game. Amazing, amazing 3D action platform. Aero Fighters Assault. It's a typical Ace Combat clone for the 64 rather than the PS1. You know, dogfights in the sky. You know, pretty good graphics. N64 always had great graphics, especially when compared to the competition because it was a more powerful system. You know, there's nothing special here, but there's nothing bad either. It's just your fun, you know, Ace Combat type of game. You want some aerial dogfights, some Top Gun type stuff, you go and you hit that up. Road Rash 64. It's Road Rash on the N64, man. Great fun. It's not that great of a game per se, but it's just fun if you want your motocross type fix with combat and just beating the shit out of people and knocking them off the bikes with you know, the nunchucks and all that. You know, it's fun. It's not bad. My favorite wrestling game of all time, WCW NWO Revenge. Some people it's No Mercy, some people it's Revenge. To me, I was a WCW guy, still am. So I believe that this was the better game just because the characters were better. The wrestlers were better. You know, you had Goldberg, Sting, Hollywood Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, Kevin Nash, and 40-something other wrestlers. And you could also go in there and customize their gear. So if you wanted to make your own faction, like let's say you wanted to make NWO blue and black instead of red and black or white and black, you could change things face paint to blue and black. You could change the NWO shirts to black and blue, you know, stuff like that. So it was very fun. 4-player madness again, just like the WrestleMania 2000 game. Next, Star Wars Episode 1 Pod Racer. This is your typical futuristic racer. If you guys saw Phantom Menace Episode 1, everybody hates that movie. I love it. I think the prequels are great. That's another story for another day. But one of the best scenes in that movie was the pod race. And this game is centered around the world of pod racing. Underground pod racing, you go to the different planets in the Star Wars galaxy, and you have these amazing pod races when you get to customize your pod and buy parts for it and all that. Very good Star Wars game. Very good racer. I actually had an arcade counterpart in the arcades back in the day. Then we got Castlevania 64. Castlevania 64 is Castlevania in 3D. This game got a lot of flack. A lot of people did not receive it well. I did. I never beat it because Castlevania, especially in 3D, is huge. But it's a wonderful game. I love Castlevania. I'm dying for them to bring it back. But in 3D, I think they transitioned very well. I think the graphics were great, especially for back then. And it's Castlevania on the 64, man. What more can you ask for? Next, 1080 snowboarding. This is my favorite snowboarding franchise of all time, and it began with this game. This game had a very steep learning curve, meaning you had to memorize button combinations and all that to pull off tricks, and to pull off a 1080 in this game was to just pull your hair out. But when you did it, you felt like a champ. And the graphics were great, the music was awesome, the track design was great. I mean, it was just a great snowboarding game. And then with the sequel on the GameCube, 1080 Avalanche, it became my favorite snowboarding franchise of all time. We need a third one, by the way, I'm just saying. But 1080 snowboarding, good fun, man. NFL Quarterback Club 98. Back in this era of gaming, I was more of a quarterback club than I was a Madden guy. And Acclaim Sports made the most realistic sports games. Basketball, football, baseball, you name it. This game had great graphics. Good fun gameplay. And to me, it was just a step above Madden. Good fun. Next, one of my favorite racing franchises of all time, San Francisco Rush. Classic arcade racer brought home on the N64. Awesome music, big time jumps, great shortcuts, just fucking extreme crazy racing. And it was awesome the first time I played this. And I had a steering wheel. I still have it in the closet there. I had the steering wheel with the pedals. And you go off one of those big jumps and then you hit a building and your car just blows up. And you're like, what the fuck? That's never happened in a racing game. You know, so it was really fun, man. I really enjoyed it. Next, Perfect Dark. This is, again, rare on the N64. Dream team. This is a first-person shooter made after GoldenEye, spiritual successor to GoldenEye 007, and it's a freaking phenomenal first-person shooter. I just couldn't get into it the way I got into GoldenEye because nobody, you know, everybody cares about James Bond. Nobody gives a shit about Joanna Dark. Who is she? Made-up character, you know? So there's not that fondness there, not that attachment to the character, the license, but the graphics are amazing. The gameplay is phenomenal. It's GoldenEye, just better gameplay-wise. But it did have some frame rate issues because it was pushing the N64 to its absolute limit. I believe it even used the expansion pack. Still, there was some frame rate freezes and stuff like that when shit gets real hectic. But it's a great game. Great first-person shooter. Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero. This game got terrible reviews. People didn't like it. I did. Sub-Zero is my favorite Mortal Kombat character. So, of course, I'm going to get that. I remember waiting years. I think it was a year and a half, almost 2 years for this game to come out. Seeing it in Game Pro and EGN and delay, and I was keeping track of this game. Had it pre-ordered, and I got it for Christmas the other year when it finally released. You know, it's just an adventure game. It's a side-scrolling adventure game in the Mortal Kombat universe. All the same brutality and moves are there, but it's more centered around a story and an actual like action game progression rather than a fighting game. And it tells the story of Sub-Zero. It's really cool. I like it. Next, Goldman's Great Adventure. This is the sequel to one of my favorite N64 games of all time, which you'll see coming up in the collection later. But the formula, they flipped it here. The original was a 3D action adventure platformer, kind of like Mario 64. This one, they made it more of a 2.5D side-scrolling adventure, but with an open-world map that you can actually traverse in and explore. It was really, really fun. I like the original better, but this was a good time. And I'm glad I finally tracked it down. It took me a while to find this game. Next, AllStar Baseball 99. Again, Acclaim Sports. Just, I'm not really a big baseball fan. I think I got this from my sister's ex-husband. Used to work in the garbage business. He would always find a bunch of discarded games and bring them to me because he knew I was collecting. Put it in the system. I tested it. It worked. Very realistic-looking baseball game, especially for that time. And, just typical baseball game. None special. Aero Gauge. Futuristic Racer. Kind of like a mix between F-Zero and, I don't know, Wipeout maybe. You race in these futuristic vehicles they can go up and down. You can control your height as you race through the tracks at high speeds. So it's fun. It's kind of low budget, but it got the job done. It was a good game from ASCII back in the day. So fun and good music too. I liked it. Favorite game of all time. You guys already know what it is. Pilot Wing 64 is my favorite all-time video game ever made. I still go back and enjoy this yearly. Within a given year, I go back 3 or 4 times and play through this game and just have fun. And still, even with the graphics being as dated as they are and the game being 20 plus years old, I still love the sense of freedom and exploration and the size of those worlds that you get to explore, especially when thinking about the fact that this game came out in 1996. I love Birdman. I just go flying all over the place and just explore. And all the little amazing nooks and crannies, Easter eggs that they had hidden throughout the worlds. Like I've said before, in little states, you go to San Francisco and you find this building that has an open door. And if you can fly through it, navigate through it with the rocket pack or with the Birdman or whatever, and you come out on the other side through the exit door, you end up in New York City. Things like that. The Mount Rushmore had Mario's face on it. If you hit it, it becomes Wario. Things like that. I mean, it was just a great game, man. It was so ahead of its time graphically and just technologically. Things that you see Nintendo pulling off in this game, just ridiculous. Rampage World Tour. One of my favorite arcade games, man. This is Midway at their very best. Up to 3 players can play in this game, and you just pick one of 3 monsters, George, Lizzie, and Ralph, and you just go through cities all over the world, just smashing shit up, eating people, just literally causing a shitload of trouble, man. It's so much fun, man. Love it. Next, this game with a ripped up label is a FIFA title. I forgot what year it is, but again, it's one of those games that my sister's ex-husband brought me, and I added it to the collection. So, typical soccer game. Automobili Lamborghini. Ultra realistic looking, great graphics, especially for that time. Racing game with the Lamborghini license, so every car that you drive in here will be a Lamborghini. Some pretty good course design. Control was a little stiff. The game was trying to be so lifelike in its graphics that it kind of lost the fun. It's kind of like stale when you play it, but it's not bad. It's just they were going for too much visually, but it's alright. The original Super Smash Brothers. You already know what's up, man. This was Nintendo just throwing a Hail Mary at the end of the N64's life cycle when the N64 was falling off, and they were saying, you know what, let's just throw something out there that people may enjoy. And they thought it was just going to be a waste. It ended up being a worldwide phenomenon that's featured in EVO every year at competitive gaming. So, and it has a freaking tremendous worldwide following, man. Anyways, that's about a little bit less than half the collection. I'm gonna cut it right here for part 1. We're gonna come back with part 2. Continue going through the collection. This is my stuff, man. This is my N64. I will fight somebody for this shit, man. You have no idea, man. God bless y'all. Stay gaming. Peace.